Hello and welcome to A Lovely Yarn Podcast. My name is Amber and I am coming to you from Western Pennsylvania. So today we are in the midst of a snowstorm and I thought it would be the perfect time to get cozy and talk to you guys about my knitting. I don't typically drink while I'm filming podcasts, but it is it's really gross out. It was snowing. We got a bit of snow, a decent amount of snow, and then now it's sleeting and it's just ice and I can hear it hitting. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but it's like hitting the windows. And I just came back from my sister's. We were working out and I walked. So I came in the house and I was just like, I need something warm. So I'm drinking, it's a chai mushroom blend hot drink. I mean, you could drink it cold, but I like it hot, and I froth up some almond milk and put it in there and kind of make it like a chai latte. And this is a beautiful mug. I think I got this in Asheville, North Carolina, 5 or 6 years ago when we were there. So not only do I have a thing for yarn, but I also have a thing for handmade pottery. So whenever we travel, I'm always looking for local yarn and I'm always looking for local handmade pottery. Ask my kids. My mug collection is out of hand. So I've gotten better about being very particular, but I love it. I think this one is just absolutely gorgeous. I love these colors. And I love the shape of this. Anyway, so I am going to be sipping on this because it just feels like the right thing to do on a day like this when I want to be cozy and warm, and also talking about knitting is another cozy thing to do. So why don't we just do it? Besides, I have actually quite a bit to show you, surprisingly, because I think I just put my last episode up 2 weeks ago. But I've been busy. I have been busy. That's so good. Okay, so, what am I wearing? Okay, so I am wearing, this is an extremely soft, cozy, cuddly, just perfect winter. Oh, look, I didn't even notice. I was so cold, I just threw it on. This is the Georgetown cardigan by Hannah Fettig. And if you've watched my podcast for a couple of years, you probably remember the saga of this sweater because it was so boring for me to knit because of it's just so much. Well, I knitted it in pieces and seamed it together because I had bad luck with knit in the round raglan cardigans falling off my shoulders. And all of the other ones that I had ever knit that were knit that way, I didn't wear anymore because they fell off my shoulders. So this was my very first seamed sweater. And the fact that it was made with gray yarn and just lots of stockinette made me not enjoy the process very much because I found it boring. So it took me over a year to knit it. It shouldn't have. It's just that I never felt like knitting on it. I knitted out a Cascade 220 Heathers, and it is wearing a bit. You can see some pilling, but I don't know. I don't care. I honestly don't care about pilling. I just take the little depeeler over it, depiller, and get that stuff off every now and then. It doesn't bother me because it's just, I think that just goes along with most yarn. So, but it is, I'll maybe insert a clip here if I remember to film like a full on footage of me wearing it, but it is a very cozy sweater. This shawl collar, I think I actually made this. I made it way wider than the pattern called for. I don't remember how much wider, but I did make it way wider because I wanted the big cozy, the big cozy shawl collar. I like shawl collars. So that is what I'm wearing. Another fun thing I thought that I would share with you guys here in the beginning of this episode is, are three winter weather accessories that I honestly don't know what I would do without. And then that'll lead me into my finished objects segue there. Okay, so as we have discussed, I like to go outside. I go outside a lot. I'm actually doing the 1,000 hour challenge this year, which basically means I am shooting to spend at least 1,000 hours outside this year, which a friend calculated that for me. A friend's husband calculated that for me, and he said something like that would be spending 2 hours outside every day, Monday through Friday, for the entire year. So when you look at it like that, that is a lot, because I don't, this time of year, I spend typically an hour outside. But in the summer, I'm outside for hours and hours and hours. So I think it'll all balance out. And honestly, I've already been really good at getting a lot of time in outside. But because I go outside on snowy days, really, really cold, like single digit days, you know, just weather that's not what most would think of as ideal, I have invested in cold weather gear, and 3 of those pieces are ones I've actually knit myself. So that's what I want to show you right now to start off, because these are 3 knitted objects that I absolutely love and have made wintertime so much better for me, because I do like to get outside. Okay, so the first one is this hat. So this is actually, okay, so you guys are going to probably, the concept of this is probably going to sound super similar to the muscle burr hat, but this is not actually that pattern, but it's very similar in the concept, because it is one of those patterns where you cast on, you knit a really long tube, then you decrease. So you increase on one end, you knit your tube, then you decrease on the other end, and then you stuff one end up in the other, attach it at the top, and then you have a double thick hat. So this is actually a pattern by Jane Richmond, and I have talked about this in the past on my podcast, but it's been a while and I have a lot of new subscribers. So I'm going to mention it again, because I wear this hat every day when I go outside. This is my outside hat. It's super cold out and I wear this hat outside. This is the Christopher hat by Jane Richmond. And that pattern is written for worsted weight yarn. But what I did is I took fingering weight and held it double with a silk mohair, and somehow it still worked. I used the same number of cast on stitches and everything, and it fit that pattern. It worked perfectly. Like this fits me really well. And then I knitted a little bit longer, because she has it just to wear like this without having the folded brim. But I wanted more thickness over my ears, so I knitted a little bit longer. And this is what it looks like. It is so warm because it's essentially 4 layers thick over my ear, 2 layers thick over my head, and then between the wool and the mohair, it's just perfect. So I believe the yarn, I made this a while ago. But the yarn is a combination of, the fingering weight yarn is from Little Line Head Knits, and the mohair is from, oh gosh, I cannot think of, it's Antonella. I can't think of her shop name. I write everything in the description box below. But, so, I also think, I'm thinking that the Christopher hat may be a free pattern. I'm thinking, I could be wrong, because I've literally had that pattern for years, and I've knit so many Christopher hats. I knit my husband one, I knit my son one, I knit my daughter one, my dad got one, That might be it. But, and theirs were all knit with worsted weight yarn. This is the only one I did with the different weight. But like I said, it turned out perfectly. The next pattern I want to share about is this cowl. This is the Grande double wrap, and this is a pattern by Cozy Up Knits Designs. And I'm going to be honest, I don't even remember what yarn I used. It was yarn that I wanted to give away, I think. No, it wasn't. The blue I wanted to give away. The white is some sort of Madeline Tosh, but I don't remember what I knitted in. I will tell, oops, bumped it. I will say that both of these are fingering weight yarn, and they're both single ply, which I think makes it extra cozy because it's so soft. And it's got a nice little fuzzy halo, which you can't really see in the camera, but so this is a brioche. This has some brioche in it, and then it also has, it just has different textures. This is just simply striped here. This is the brioche section. There's the one side, there's the other. Here's a mistake I made. I'm not sure what I did, but you can see that mistake right down the middle there. I don't know what I did with that. I didn't even notice it until I was done with the cowl, and I was, I think it's a provisional cast on, but I don't even know that for sure. I'm trying to remember how it was even done. I can't even remember. I think I knit this last year, so it wasn't even like I knit it that long ago. But the way I wear this is I just wrap it twice, and I am able to kind of like tuck this part down into my coat and zip my coat up over that, and then just I can, because there's so much fabric, I can just adjust it all around my neck, and it's tight enough that it keeps me warm. It's just, I love this. I love this cowl so much. It is so soft. It's not the least bit itchy. And this cowl, so I haven't honestly worked with much single ply yarn, but working on this and the yarn that I used for this really made me fall in love with single ply yarn. Okay, now that we've talked about those two, I'm going to talk about my third. And this is also, I think I just showed these last podcast episode. So this is a finished object, and it is my Thrummed mittens. And I told you guys that for the last several years, I wanted to knit myself a pair of Thrummed mittens, and then I just kept putting it off. I'm not sure why, but I just did. I can't even tell you. I am amazed by these things. I am absolutely amazed. My hands are not cold at all, and I deal with, I think I have poor circulation in my hands, Raynaud's or something like that. My doctor mentioned that years ago. I don't know that I actually have that, but it's anytime. So if I hold anything cold for a prolonged period of time, and I'm talking more than like 15, 20 seconds, my fingers turn all white and they are extremely painful. And same with my feet, which is why I had to spend some more money and get a good pair of boots like 10 years ago. And those boots, I'm still wearing the same boots. And someone had asked me that during Vlogmas what my boots were. And they are from the brand Keen, K-E-E-N. I don't even know. I mean, they're 10 years old. So I don't know that they make, I'm sure they probably don't make that exact same pair. And I don't know that Keen may have changed. I know, like, I don't know if their boots are still as good as they used to be, but those boots are amazing. My feet are never cold, which is crazy. And the same with these gloves. I cannot believe how warm these keep my hands. I will always have a pair of Thrummed mittens now. And you know what else is funny is even if so there have been times when I've been outside and I've had to take my gloves off to do things. And then my hands get really achy and sore from being cold, and I will just stick them back in my gloves, and within a minute they're warm again. Like, they're warm. It's so crazy. And it's the wool that's inside, because you know when you make Thrummed mittens, you've got all that wool from the little thrums, and over time it felt itself together. So I want you to see how much smaller this one is than this one? Yes, well, I realized what I did. The pattern that I used, first of all, I'm going to link that pattern again, but I modified that pattern. I didn't do my thrums the way that she said to do them in that video. I actually looked up another method where I pulled the thrum through the stitch below and then did, I don't even honestly remember how I did it. I'll try to find that video that I found on how to do thrums. So it's different than how the woman did them in the pattern that I used. I more or less used that pattern as a guideline for the shape and the decreases, and so, you know, stuff like that. So and I also mentioned before that that pattern is not what I would consider beginner friendly. I think it makes some assumptions about, you know, a knitter knowing certain things. So you probably could find a better pattern. I don't even know how I came upon that one and what made me decide to go with that. Maybe it was like one of the first ones I found and I just thought, I'll figure it out. I don't know. So that is, that I just wanted to disclose that in the beginning. It's not maybe look for a different pattern, but I'll link it down below in case you want to take a look at it. It's free. But what I ended up doing, so with the first glove I knit, you do this ribbing, and I think for 2 inches, 2.5, and then you increase by 9 stitches. Well, I forgot to increase on this one, and you can tell. Look at this. When I finished this, or when I got partway through, I'm like, this is looking way smaller than the other one, and I could not figure out why. And then I figured out I didn't do the increase. I didn't increase by 9 stitches on this one, and that is why it is significantly smaller. Honestly, when I make these again, I won't do the increase because this small, I have longer hands, but they're smaller. They're longer, but they're, I don't know, they're more petite maybe as far as width. So this one perfectly hugs my hand. It's perfect. This one it keeps my hand warm, but it's like there's more air. There's more room for air in this one. Now air doesn't get through because there is so much wool inside. And when I did my thrums, I did pretty heavy thrums. I didn't do tiny little thrums. I pulled out significant pieces of fiber because I wanted a nice lining. Another thing I did is I wore these out for the first time, and I think it was like 20 degrees out that day that I went out, 20 degrees Fahrenheit. I wore them out, and I kind of and it was windy, so I felt where the air was coming through. And then I came in the house, turned them inside out, grabbed the fiber that I had used, and then just needle felted more fiber in on any places. So let me turn this inside out and show you what I'm talking about. And I want to do it again because, first of all, my needle felting was really poor because I was in a hurry to do it. It was nighttime. And so I didn't do a great job of it. And so it moves around. So I want to, this is what it looks like. It's so ugly inside. It's like I added a bunch up here, and I do want to I'm going to get the needle out and I'm going to go at it again. And then I added a bunch right here along the thumb. It's crazy and ugly looking, but they're so warm. So yeah, that's what I'm actually going to do. My hands are really warm, but I want to get, this is not down. I need to get that completely felted down because it kind of annoys me when my hands are in there. So I just need to dig out my needle felting stuff and just work at that a little bit more. So guys, I'm telling you, I am amazed by these gloves. I literally never, I thought, oh yeah, they're going to keep my hands warm, but they keep my hands completely warm. My hands aren't cold. They're not cold. And then the more amazing thing is the fact that I can have really cold, painful hands if I have to take my gloves off, stick these on, and they warm them up. It's just mind blowing. My mind was blown with these. this yarn is Quince & Co. Owl in the cilantro color, in case you're wondering. And okay, I have two more finished objects to show you. And I had shown both of these, or I had talked about both of these on my last episode, but I had not cast on. I don't even think I'd wound the yarn up yet at that point. So I got both of these finished within the last 2 weeks. Actually, within the last week, I've had them done. But they're small. They're small projects. Okay, so the first one is so stinking adorable. And these are the baby Starlet mittens. This is a free pattern. Aren't they so cute? Oh my gosh, they're adorable. Look at these. I just love them. I wish I would have been a knitter whenever my kids were born. Anyway, okay, so this is a free pattern. I think I said that, but it is by Carolina Adamczyk, and you guys can find that pattern link down below. But anyway, what I ended up doing is I knitted the cuff way longer than the pattern called for, because these are for my friend's daughter, and she is 5 months old, I think. But you know how babies, like, they're kind of active, so I thought if there was a longer cuff, then Danielle could tuck that down into her daughter's like sleeve or coat, and hopefully that would hold it on better, or she could have them like that. So yeah, I knit these for my friend's daughter, as I said, and they are so cute, so sweet. I'll definitely knit this for my grandchildren someday. I just used scrap yarn. I had some Cloudborn left over from my boho chic mosaic. These hardly took any yarn at all. They're so tiny. So yeah, this is a really nice yarn. It's discontinued. Sadly, it is discontinued. It's a Highland worsted. So yeah, it's the dark brown and then the stone heather color are the two colors that I used. Or no, I'm sorry, oatmeal. Dark brown and oatmeal is what I used. So those are done. That was one project. I don't really have much to say about those. I'm going to see Danielle tomorrow, so I wanted to show those before I took them. I'm so excited to give them to her. And then the other thing is a knit for somebody else as well, and this is for my son and daughter's friend, Adrian. And I talked about him. He is a good friend of ours who used to live in Pennsylvania, was good friends with both of my younger kids, and then him and his family moved to Colorado in 2020, and so but he still comes back and stays with us, like usually twice a year. He's actually coming back next weekend to go skiing with my husband and daughter. So my goal was to get this hat done by then, because he's going to be back. And I love this yarn. It is Madeline Tosh Vintage in Whiskey Barrel. So let me put it on. This is the fit of it. It's just like I think it's just the 2x2 ribbing. And this was a free pattern as well. This is called the Simple Soldier Hat. So I was going to originally knit the watch cap by Pearl Soho. And then when I went to cast on, I was like, these numbers are going to make a hat that would fit a giant. It just did not make any sense to me. And the hat, the amount of stitches that I thought I should cast on was actually for like a child size hat. And so I started to get a little bit nervous and question it. So I got onto the project pages and I read from multiple people that the hat was humongous if they casted on the number of stitches that the pattern told them to. And then I also started reading about how people didn't like how the top of the hat came to like this very exaggerated point, kind of like an elf hat top. And I was like, I didn't notice that until I looked closer at the photos, and I thought, that's not a good top for Adrian. I don't like that. The top is a little strange. The top it just, you just stop the ribbing. The way they have you decrease, you're basically stopping the ribbing and just decreasing. So it makes like this circle on the top. So I'm not crazy about that, but it's still a really nice hat. And I knit it long enough so that he could have quite a nice depth of a brim there to keep his ears cold in the long Colorado winters that he has. And I have this much left, which I didn't weigh it. So this was my last finished object that I wanted to share with you today. I gotta get my hair fixed because I've been trying hats on. All right, now let's talk about what I'm still working on. These socks are almost done. I've got this whole sock, and I've probably got about 20 more rounds before I start the decrease on this one, and then they will be done. This is the Kia sock by Dawn Henderson, and the yarn is Farm Fresh Eggs by Flower Heel Fleeces, and it's making a very nice textured pattern. So yes, they're very lovely, and this yarn is really pretty. It's actually very fallish to me, but I'm knitting these for someone and I knew they would really like this color yarn, so I'm going with it. Yeah, so I don't have that much further to go, as you can see when I kind of like lay them on top of each other. So this last one, oh my goodness, I am absolutely in love with this project. Did you ever have a project that just checks all the boxes, that you just want to sit there and knit all day? I don't sit and knit all day. I knit in the morning, and then I knit in the evening, and I might knit a few rounds or rows during the day if I sit down for a few minutes. But I'm basically not, I don't sit there and knit all day because I couldn't even sit there and knit all day. I like to be busy. But this project makes me want to sit and knit all day. I had no idea I was going to love this and be so addicted to it. I mean, I knew I was going to love it. I had a feeling I was going to love it, but I didn't know I would love it so much. So it is a Scrappy blanket. Oh. I'm so weird. I just love it so much. I love it so much, and it is so squishy. It is so squishy because it's garter. It's just row after row of garter, which you would think I would be bored with it, and this is why I feel somewhat shocked, because I'm thinking, why am I not bored with this yet? I really was afraid to cast this on because I really thought it was going to be like my mitered square blanket, or a lot of people call it the Cozy Memories blanket. That blanket's been going on for years and it is not growing. I just don't care to work on it. This one, I have done all of this in a week, maybe less than a week. And this is a lot of stitches. So what I did, whenever I did my Scrappy episode, I featured a homespun house cozy comfort throw, and someone had said to me that Stephen West garter squish pattern was pretty much the same pattern, and so I got on and I looked at that one, and Stephen West's pattern was free. It was knit with, I think, worsted weight. Yeah, I think he did his with worsted weight scraps, but I was like, that doesn't really matter because I just need to figure out how many to cast on, and then everything is the same. I mean, garter stitch is not hard. I also knew that I wanted to do an I-cord, and I think with his pattern, so with Molly's pattern, I'm pretty sure it's a applied. You knit your whole blanket and then you go back and you do an applied I-cord edge, because if you look at hers or the project pages for the Cozy Comfort Throw, the I-cord is the same color in everyone's projects. Where with the Stephen West, you just do a cast on. You just do I think a regular long tail cast on, and then you slip 3 stitches at the end of each row, so you're doing a as you go I-cord edging along the two sides. So I think the shorter sides, the top and the bottom, are just regular cast on, bind off, and then the side edges are your I-cord edging that you're knitting as you go. However, I know that would make more sense to do it that way, because then you don't have to go back and put a tedious I-cord edging on a huge blanket when you're all done with it. And I was really nervous about that because I know myself, and oftentimes I get hung up on those finishing touches and I don't feel like doing them. And that's why some projects have lingered. But I really wanted to put a solid colored, single colored I-cord edging on this blanket. So what I'm doing is I cast on 240 stitches. This is fingering weight held double, so I'm holding this plain. This is just, I bought this fingering weight yarn, this bare fingering weight yarn from Knit Picks, and it is the Muse colorway, or I'm sorry, the Muse, where did it go? Where did the tag go? I had a tag, probably sitting on it. It's Muse, M-U-S-E. That's the base. And so I think it is it's either an 80-20 merino nylon or 75-25. I don't remember which one. And I can't find the band that I brought in with me. I brought one of the bands, but I can't find it. So I'm just holding this double with various fingering weight. I have this whole basket. Plus I have this bag that has all of my row 1. So I had a row 1 subscription where you get sent 10 gram minis every month. I had that for several months, I think 4 or 5 months. So I have all of those in there, which those are only 10 grams. So you don't get, I think when I use those, I get, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I get like 6 rows back and forth. So anyway, cast on 240 stitches, a fingering weight held double, and you just go back and forth. And I am slipping the stitch at the beginning of every row just to give a neat edge. Okay, so 2 reasons for that. The first reason was because I knew that would give me a neater edge to pick up when I do my I-cord edging. But also I thought, if I get to the end and I am just not feeling like putting an I-cord edging on that, at least I have a nice, somewhat finished edging. It looks better than when you just don't do that, when you don't slip it, you know, it looks neater. So my reason for doing that was twofold. You know, I know actually why I'm not losing interest, and it is because I'm constantly changing color. I am a sucker for scrappy stuff in different colors. I love it. I love changing colors. I love it. But as I was saying, this is just pure enjoyment. Oh, I have to say, when I put that bright yellow stripe in there, I hated it. I hated it because I am not a bright neon colored kind of person, and I was just like, why did I knit that in? And I kept saying, that evening my husband and my son Ian were out in the living room with me, and I was like, should I rip it out? Help me make a decision. And because it just looked like a highlighter, like I took a yellow highlighter through the middle. And Brad was like, it'll be fine once you add more colors and to balance everything out. And he was right. So I didn't want to rip it out because it was a lot of work. You know, it was several hours of work to rip out because I had gone, I think I was up here working on this white colored stripe when I thought about ripping that out. So this is going to be fairly big. I mean, it's the whole way across my needles and bunched up. So, guys, I love this. Just do it. Just cast it on. If you're trying to figure out how to use up your scrap yarn, just do it. And so when I was last year, when I was thinking about doing this, I was like, but then I gotta buy yarn to hold double with it. But it's just bringing me so much enjoyment. So I bought 5 of these skeins, which are 100 gram skeins. I have 3 left. I've already used 1 completely, and this is all I have left of the second. So I'm probably gonna have to buy more. because this isn't going to cut it because I made it so wide. I could have made it less wide. I could have made it more of a narrow blanket. But what I might do is knit this until it's a square. And then I tend to like square blankets because then I can fold them in half on like the widest midpoint. So corner to corner, fold them in half and use them as a really warm, heavy shawl just to wrap around myself. I have my one crocheted granny square blanket that I made. I made a square, and that's how I wear that. Like I'll go out in the spring or the fall on the porch and I'll just wrap it around me, and it's perfect for keeping me warm. So yes, loving this so much. I don't know that I couldn't be enjoying this project any more than I already am. So if you are considering it, just do it. And I actually will write down below my cast on number and my needle size and all of that. So if you guys, you can know, because sometimes that's the hardest. And like I said, this is going to make a pretty wide blanket. It's going to be so cozy, so cozy. Okay, so I want to talk real quick about the next pattern I'm casting on. There we go. And this is another free pattern. I feel like a lot of people right now are really trying to save money. And part of that is hard for me because I know that designers make a living off of designing patterns. But then with me coming, we're a single income family. And so I have to try to be really responsible with our money. I'm not working anymore. For those of you that don't know, I worked as a barista at a local coffee shop. And I left that job in September to be at home full time. Because I do homeschool. Well, my daughter's the only one left at home now. It was just a part-time job that I worked before, but I'm just really glad to be home. I don't want to get into that whole story because I've talked about it in the past, but because we are a single income family, and probably not even because of that, just because you want to be responsible with your money. I want to be better about using free patterns or using patterns I've already purchased or using patterns that are in books. So that is my goal this year. I talked about that last podcast. And so I wanted to knit myself a warm headband to wear outside on like the warmer days of the winter. Warmer days. The days that aren't quite so blustery, that I don't need my Christopher hat, those days. And I found this really pretty color work. I love color work. I love knitting color work, and I love that color work makes basically a double thickness of your fabric, so it's extra warm. So I found this. Isn't it funny that I don't have the name of it? Because I didn't print off the first page, because the first page was just a picture of her, and I didn't want to use up all that ink. So I will post it below. But this designer's name is, it's the Trading Post headband. It's on the very last page at the bottom. Tressa Weidenar. And it is knit with DK or light worsted weight yarn. She used spin cycle. So that lighter color there is spin cycle. And you don't need a ton of yarn. I want to use this because I want a neutral colored one. I thought about using this with one of my hand spuns because I have so much hand spun and I need to use my hand spun. But I want to, this is just Knit Picks Wool of the Andes, and I actually have several skeins of both of these colors. So I want to knit this pattern first and see how I like it, how wide I want it. Does it fit well, or does it like pop off my head or slide down on my face? I want to do that with this yarn that's not overly important to me, because I think I got it on sale for like $3 a skein at some point. I want to do that with this before I knit one with my hand spun. Does that make sense? And then once I get the first one done and I'm familiar with the pattern and I'm familiar with any kind of changes I want to make, then I actually want to knit one of these headbands with my hand spun. I think it would be a good way to use some of my hand spun, because I have lots of single skeins of hand spun. I have a whole shelf of it. And most of it I would say is probably sport weight or DK, so it would work well. But so what happened was I went to cast this on actually the other night, and I cannot find my size 3 needle anywhere. I have ChowGoo. I have an interchangeable set of ChowGoo, the 4-inch needles, and that I forgot that size 3 needle is missing, and it has been missing, and I've been looking for it, and I've just been like, I have been just working around not having it and making it work, but I ended up breaking down and ordering just the needle tips in size 3, and they're coming. They're supposed to come this weekend. So I will, I'm waiting until I get the needles to cast this on. I don't know where those needles are. I looked through all of my project bags. I have looked everywhere that I could think. And I don't even really have, other than what I've shown you, I only have one. No, that's not true. I have 3 projects. I have 3 whips that I haven't worked on a long time, but 2 are socks. And the other one is a sweater that takes like size 9 needles. And I just don't know. Like, I looked in all those bags because I thought maybe I accidentally stuck them in there. Couldn't find them. But when those needles come, I'm going to make this headband with this yarn. Okay, and then I want to cast on another sweater, I think. I think I want to cast on another sweater. I'm always a little bit hesitant to cast on sweaters because I seem to have, if I'm going to have bad luck, I'm not going to call it luck. If I'm going to be displeased with any kind of knitting project, in the end, it's most likely going to be a sweater because it's, you know, it has to fit my body, right? Or I'm not going to like it. But I have had this Abundant Earth Fiber, Joseph and Annie. It's the cinnamon colorway. I've had this for years. I have one already wound up because I thought I was going to use it for something. So I have 4 skeins of this, and this is, I believe, a sport weight yarn. It's 90% US Merino and 10% Washington Targhee. And it is beautiful. It's mostly that like a crew color, but then it has, see that like fleck of tweedy stuff. Oh, here we go. There's the tag. I really want to knit a textured sweater, and there is one by Petite Knit. I can't remember the name of it, but actually I'll just put a picture right here so you can see the one I'm talking about. That looks like a possibility. I think that has I think that is knit with mohair as well, but I don't think I want to hold mohair with this. I don't want to have to buy any more yarn, and I definitely don't have enough mohair. I just have a couple of single skeins of mohair. So I probably just want to knit a sweater with just this and not holding it double with anything. The sumac is also, pop a picture here of the sumac. That is another option, and I actually bought Cascade 220 in a green color right here a couple of years ago to knit that sweater. I never purchased the pattern, but I thought I really like it. So that is another option as well. But if you have any patterns that you've knitted and you've really liked that fit that description, please share them below. I just really want a cozy textured sweater. It just sounds great to me right now. Yeah, okay, that's all. That's all I got for you guys today. I'm so glad I was able to get an episode in. It's not even noon yet. That's amazing. I've been feeling a little unmotivated this week. I don't know why. But I'm pushing through. I'm just pushing through, you know. Sometimes it's just getting started. With housework, with anything, you just got to get started, and then it goes, and then you get in the groove, and then you just keep going. Or at least that's how it is for me. Before I go though, I want to say thank you very much for, so I just kind of on a whim, back during Vlogmas, started a, is it pronounced Ko-Fi or coffee? It looks like it should be Ko-Fi, but everyone else I hear says coffee account. And I just didn't say anything about it, just stuck it in my description box of my video. And I've had multiple people donate to the channel through that. And I wanted to say thank you. And this is weird for me. It's very weird because I didn't want to be like, hey, give me money. I need your money. But at the same time, I thought, well, if I had, like, if people would like to do it. So it's kind of like Patreon, but it's not a monthly type of a thing. It's just whenever you want to. This is very awkward for me to talk about, if you can't tell. I'm feeling very awkward right now. and nervous about talking about this, but I wanted to talk about it because I've been sending individual thank yous to the people who donate just through the Ko-fi platform, because I don't get their email addresses or anything, and I don't even know if these people are seeing it. So I'm putting it on here. Thank you. Thank you. And because of you, I'm going to do a giveaway because I don't even know how this happened, but I surpassed 10,000 subscribers during Vlogmas, which is absolutely amazing. And it's because you guys. I mean, when you like, when you comment, when you do all that stuff, when you subscribe, it boosts my video and then other people see it. So it's because of you guys. So I want to put together, and I was hoping to have it for this, but I have not had a chance to do any shopping. I want to support some small businesses, like small fiber related businesses, and put together a little giveaway because for like a 10K celebration, because it was exciting. In the scheme of things, it's not important, but it was kind of exciting, let me just say. So yeah, that is my plan. So hopefully by my next regular podcast episode, I will have a little giveaway put together, and I will be able to share that with you guys. And I want to just say thank you to those people that donated through Ko-fi, because that makes it a lot easier for me to do things such as giveaways, or like I bought a little tiny tripod that I can just set up and it wraps around things, rather than right now I have my camera on I have my phone. I use my phone. I have it on like a bigger tripod, but this little tiny one is so amazing. And it was only like 14 or 15 bucks, but sometimes that's hard to justify that because I'm like, I could just prop it up on books. But then whenever you guys had donated that money, it just made it made that decision easier. Again, I'm still feeling very awkward here. I hope I don't come across weird, but I just have to be real with you guys, right? And if you don't like me, you can leave. Because I've learned. I've been podcasting, I think, for 5 years now. I think somebody recently pointed that out, and I can't even believe that. And I've come to realize that there are just going to always be mean people out there. And if they don't like me, then that's okay. Because not everybody's going to like me. I'm not going to be everybody's cup of tea. Just like there are people that aren't my cup of tea. And so sometimes it's, I get mean comments and stuff, and sometimes I never respond to them because it's not going to serve any good. It's not a good way. If they wanted to talk to me face to face, then I would talk to them, but leaving messages or comments or whatever, that's not a productive way to deal with conflict. So I just ignore it. If they're really nasty, I delete them because there's no need to have that negativity in my comment section. If they're somewhat nasty, not nasty, if they're somewhat, if somebody has a problem, like somebody was insulting my use of the word cowl at one point, and I just left that on because I thought, it's not, whatever, you can leave that on there. I perhaps used the word wrong. It's okay. It's not the end of the world. I'm sharing. Am I oversharing with you guys? Anyway, okay, so what an awkward ending. But all that to say, it's gotten to the point 5 years in that I am just like, I just need to be me. And if people don't like me, they can find another. There are so many YouTube knitting channels, so many different personalities. So we have so many options. Isn't that wonderful? And so I'm going to choose to watch the people that their personality jives with mine, and you're going to do the same. And that's beautiful. That's beautiful that we have all these options, right? Yeah. Anyway, okay. That's the end of that. I'm going to go ahead and close down this episode. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time.